Hi there, this is Chris. I've gotten a lot of compliments on the website we recently built for Clear Life Hearing Care, and I just wanted to take a minute to talk through some of the things that we were thinking about as we were redesigning Brad's website, and some of the things we wanted to improve upon, because yes, I think it's a great looking website, but there are also a lot of structural, foundational, and SEO issues that we cleaned up that I think will help Brad get a lot more business over time. And even in the recent experience, even in just the short time he's had this site up, which has only been a week and a half, he's already mentioned he's getting a lot more form fills and leads and appointments off of this website. So that's great to hear. But I wanted to kind of walk everybody through some of what we were looking to accomplish besides just making it look better. Of course, it does, look very good. Brad has a lot of great messaging. He's clearly defined what makes him different and special, and what makes Clear Life Hearing Care as a practice, sort of unique in its market. And he does it, and we do, we really put a lot of effort into trying to communicate that, across this site. So we talk about what makes him different. He does some best practice stuff. He has branded it in terms of this neuro hearing. So that's really good. You can brand it. You don't have to brand it. But talking about, what makes you as a practice is very important, and leads to not having such a generic website overall. And, of course, we show testimonials right up front. We show these so that, you can, every visitor sees that they have great reviews and can click through to their review page. I'm constantly telling people, stop burying these testimonials and reviews on review pages, because most people will never see them. And it's just a missed opportunity. So we're showing that. And then, of course, we have another sales pitch on the unique selling proposition. Brad's made a great video on that, which I think is fantastic. But we also just list it here in text, why Clear Life Hearing Care is different than some of the other websites these people have been to. And of course, the maps for the different locations, another call to action, and a footer. But I'm going to go through some of what we were thinking about and look at the old website, and we can kind of walk through there. So this was the old website. And I think that, one of the things that Brad wanted to accomplish is make it less cluttered. So there were a lot of colors right off the bat, which I'm not sure all really, kind of went with his branding. So that was a little bit of a problem. Of course, the COVID-19 update does add a little bit more clutter to the site, but even without that, the calls to action didn't really jump out at you. And certainly, this was a very generic, what I would call hero section, which is kind of like the first section that you see. We have stock photography, kind of a more generic, title. And so we wanted something that kind of, showed people what made Clear Life different. The other thing was the mobile experience was not great. If you looked at this old website on the mobile phone, which everybody should do with their website, there was a lot of just words scattered all over. There was no messaging. You couldn't see any reviews. The buttons were hard to find. There were buttons all over the place and things you could click on. So that was a little bit difficult. Here's just another screen from another mobile device. It just wasn't fantastic experience from most mobile screens. The mobile menu was a little bit weird as well. Of course, white on orange is not a good choice. It's very difficult to read. There were these weird numbers, which I think indicated how many pages were underneath each folder. But that was a little bit awkward, I felt like. And page speed was not good. So Google has now made page speed, it's a larger part of SEO and will be going forward. So, they're going to count site metrics and user experience more and more as the years go on, and they've indicated as such. And page speed is one of those metrics that I think people should focus more on. It's also just a good user experience to have a quicker site. And he was scoring 22 out of 100 on mobile, which is the only score that matters in my opinion. So we wanted to clean that up. Lastly, on the SEO part, his headers, which is kind of the organizational system that we put together for Google. It tells Google what that page is about. That was all messed up. his first header was called navigation, which doesn't have anything to do with the page. It was just kind of like a little bit of an error on the back end, I believe. And the second one was called banner. So none of these have anything to do with Clear Life Hearing Care or what it does. There were a couple of duplicate ones. It was just kind of a mess, and quite honestly did not help his SEO. Also, in terms of SEO best practices, is something called structured data or schema. There's a couple of different types of schema. We use JSON schema. And what it is it's a markup language that basically tells Google exactly what that web page is or exactly what that website is about. And on the home page, he did not have any, which is a huge missed opportunity. That is SEO best practice. On the location pages, he had some, but there was an error and a warning on both of his location pages. And that definitely is not good. You don't want to have errors. Warnings, sometimes, definitely no errors. That's a no-no in terms of schema. So we wanted to clean that up. One of the other things that we really wanted to focus on as well is getting rid of all of the duplicate content. So I would take a couple of phrases off of his website, plop them into Google with quotes around them, and we would find that content, that exact content, across hundreds and hundreds, maybe even more, websites across the country, and that's a huge problem because that tells Google much of the content on your site is duplicate and can lower your quality score. So, here is the new desktop experience. Many of you can see it. If you want to go see it for yourself, it's clearlifehearing.com. I already kind of walked you through that a little bit, but the mobile experience I think is pretty top-notch too, because not only do you have a Book Now button in the menu, but we get to say something about Clear Life Hearing Care, like what they're going to get when they come in. And then we also show those reviews, and we still have, that phone number, which isn't too far down. So I think it's a nice mixture of design and putting the calls to action in there and having that social proof of the reviews in there. It can be a little bit of a balancing act, but I think we did a decent job on that. Also, he now has a schema on his homepage, which again is SEO best practice, and on his location page without any errors or any warnings, which is exactly what you want and need. And one of the coolest things is he went from 21 out of 100 on page speed to 91 out of 100 on page speed on mobile, and that is with a couple of videos and a couple of map embeds. We certainly did not spare any expense in terms of how the site looks, and we still were able to give that nice user experience of a really fast site and show Google that we have a really fast site, which I think is fantastic. So if you have any questions, please reach out to me. You can get me at chris@ericksonbuilt.com. You can leave messages wherever I post this. But I mostly just wanted to walk people through, besides the design of the site, some of the important aspects that kind of build the foundation for Brad and Clear Life Hearing Care as they move forward so that they can have better SEO, better conversion, and ultimately more patients from their website. So if you have any questions, let me know. Hope this is helpful. Thanks.